Welcome to the Athletics Up North podcast, where we talk track and field your questions. I'm your host, Tori West. Let's get this show started.
It's a monster throw, ladies and gentlemen. Jared Bannister away, Freeman out well. A magnificent performance. What a legend. What a champion.
Okay, it's recording. We're on. We're live. Welcome to episode 6 of the Athletics Up North podcast. Today we have a special event, which is the multi-event episode, which I'm pretty excited for. And today I have 3 guests, 3 multi-event athletes who are connected to North Queensland. So we got Emily Keehn, Liam Gilbert, and Dan Golubovich. So everyone, introduce yourself. Let's start with you, Dan.
Yeah, my name's Dan. So you can probably hear in my voice, I was born overseas in Los Angeles, but my dad's Australian and my grandparents have lived up in Cairns for the past 30 years. So I've had plenty of time up in Cairns. I recently moved to Brisbane, and before my phone falls out of its mount right now, let me just tighten this up. Recently moved to Brisbane, but I was actually spent some time training with Liam up in Cairns out of Barlow Park for, 2 months or something like that, Liam?
Yeah, around that.
Yeah. That's it. What else do people want to know? There's not much to tell.
So obviously you do the decathlon though. So
I do. I'm myself. Little backstory on myself there. I competed 5 years in the NCAA in the university system over in the States, and came down, competed at national championships down here in 2018, I guess now. Oh no, 2019. Yeah, 2019. Yeah. We haven't competed this year, so I'm a little thrown off. Competed down here in 2019, and I am hoping to represent Australia in the Olympic Games come 2021 now.
Awesome. And Liam?
Hey guys, my name's Liam. I have been doing athletics since I was about 6 years old. So I started in the small town of Innisfail, just south of Cairns. So I was doing athletics at Castro Coast, the A's there. And I do the decathlon like Dan. So pretty much a lot of my training is based in Cairns, and a lot of the comps I go to around North Queensland. And I did my first decathlon at the age of 15 at the A&Q Champs.
Nice. And Em?
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm originally from Rockhampton. So I was a part of the Central Queensland Athletics Club there before moving to Brisbane. I started multis a bit later on in life. I didn't do my first multi till I was 19, which was at the North Queensland Championships in 2010.
Nice. So, as you could probably tell, we've all got a table of multi-event athletes. If you don't know what the multi-events are either the heptathlon or the decathlon. So you do a series of events and you get a point score, and the goal is to get the most points in each event and ultimately, win if you're competing at the high level. So for the multis, we were lucky enough to have our nationals in February. So we were the only national championship to go ahead in Australia, which was back in February. But now, obviously, the whole season has been paused. We don't actually know when the next competition is at this point, potentially September or even December, which is a huge amount of time not to be competing. I was mentioning before, it's 9 months, which you could essentially have a baby in that time. So how is training going, and how has your whole process changed since coronavirus has happened? I'll start with you, Dan.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time right now. A lot of what we're doing, since tracks are closed and stuff, we're out in parks and on grass tracks and trying to get technical work in where we can. But I will say, nonetheless, it's still fun. we're still out there nearly puking every day, or every lactic session, so that's good. As far as gym and stuff goes, they're all closed down, but we've had plenty of support from the QAS in getting as many resources as we can possibly manage. And we've got a little gym set out on the deck of the house here, where we can at least get all the main stuff in. And it's just everything's really just been isolated. Social distancing and all. We're not allowed to train in major groups or anything like that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, but you're rooming with two other decathletes, so that's Cedric and Marty. So I guess that makes it easier for you, especially when it was restricted to one-on-one training, where you could at least have two people to train because you live together.
Exactly. I'm fortunate enough to like I said, have a gym at the house, and be living with two other decathletes and two other high-level decathletes as well. So at the end of the day, we play a lot of video games, but we're still focused, we're still pushing, and we're still able to kind of attack and move forward.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's good. And Liam, what about you? Like, what's the situation in Cairns? Like, have you been able to train at Barlow, or where have you been training?
No, Barlow has been closed. Obviously, it's really different. Pretty lucky. I've got a nice grass track just south of Cairns, in Gordonvale. So, been doing a lot of my work there, a lot of my lactic sessions. But when coronavirus came around, I spoke to Brendan, my coach, and took a bit of a break around 6 weeks, because obviously coming off the school season with club season, it was pretty stressful and pretty full. I think it definitely took a toll on me. I was getting pretty sick because of the stress. So I thought it was the best idea just to take a break. But obviously, I was still doing a lot of my running work, staying fit, doing some lactic sessions here and there. But it's pretty much, I've started up very recently, about a week ago, just getting back into training, starting to do a bit more event-specific stuff, just touching on a few events here and there. But obviously, it's pretty hard because everything's up in the air at the moment. But I'm doing the best we can at the moment with everything that's going on,
And even though it is like an uncertain time and like, a lot of crazy stuff happening, do you feel like it's been less stressful because I guess there's no real impeding pressure to qualify for World Juniors?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely felt that, especially leading into the multi-smackdown. There was a lot of pressure, especially considering I missed nationals. I didn't have that opportunity in February. So it was all really coming down to that one comp. And I can't lie, I have to say it was getting to me, obviously, a lot of that pressure for that one comp to hit the qualifier. So as much as it sucks having those comps ruled out, it's definitely been good to just take a break. And I think having that break and being away from the track a bit, it's made me want it more, I guess, coming back into training. And I guess really shows how much I actually missed it. So I'm really looking forward to getting back into a bit more of a regular routine with training.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like a blessing in disguise to you, particularly because you're so young still, like in the juniors. A lot of junior athletes just get burnt out because there's so much pressure to perform. So this could work out really well. And Em, how's your training been going? Where have you been training at?
So I'm similar to Dan, just training at the local grass track, where most of our squad have been trying to utilise. And obviously, when the restrictions were really strict, we were just partnering up with someone that had a similar session or the same session and going through the paces. I've been lucky that where I do my gym, they're an allied health clinic. So they've actually been open this whole time, and just doing one-on-one sessions essentially. So I've been very fortunate to still have access to a full equipped gym. So apart from that, like my sessions have been pretty much the exact same as before COVID. In a way, it's been a blessing that our off season's been extra long this year, because normally our off season, even though it is quite long, it feels very, very short. Kind of you finish the season, you come down after the season, you get back into hard work, and then it's, you know, September first month of the season's here again. So I guess you've got to flip that over and kind of look at it as a blessing that we actually get a long off season this year to actually build properly and prepare for the next season that's coming.
For sure, I agree. I think all of this is about perspective. I think for a lot of athletes who did have goals, like I'm talking about myself, even you, Dan and Liam, this year there was big international comps competing. You know, there was pressure to qualify in short periods of time. But now we have like 9 months to build a base that, like, I could never have thought that this would happen. Like extra time to train and go for whatever the qualifier is. So I think, yeah, perspective is the most important thing in this whole thing. Now, obviously everything's postponed. What are your goals now? So leading into, I would say, what's your 2020 goals? But I'm now going to say, what's your 2021 goals? Dan?
I'm on the same mission. Nothing's, aside from how we go about things day to day, like I was saying before, like everybody was saying before, mission's still the same. So still just trying to get better every day, get fit, get strong, get healthy, and dial in. Well, we're not quite there yet because we're still into base work, but come another couple months time, really start to dial in the technique, get fast, and put up a big mark once everything opens up again.
For sure. And Liam, what's your goals for 2021 now?
I guess probably to come out of the whole situation, like 2020, as fit as and as strong as I can. Everything, just utilize this time to obviously, like you said, get the base work done, come out fit and strong, and then hopefully, if World Juniors does happen next year, definitely work towards that. Now I've got a bit more time under my belt. Obviously won't be bottom age anymore, and I can spend a bit more time on the bigger implements and bigger heights and hurdles. So yeah, definitely just work on refining those few events and work towards World Juniors.
Sweet. And Em?
Probably one of my main goals, which I try and strive for each season, is to stay injury free, which I think would be a big thing for multis.
That's like the main goal for every multi-event athlete.
One of the biggest problems is just, those little niggling injuries that just seem to hang around and just don't disappear. And then, you know, when you have those unfortunate bigger injuries that sideline you for a bit. So injury-free has been my main goal for probably the last 3 years, because before that I was just an injured wreck, year in, year out. So that's definitely my number one goal. And then just to improve on my last season and to do better than what I did last season. Just keep building on that.
Nice. Now, listening to a lot of, like, part of my job with A&Q is doing the online media stuff, and you read comments and you read posts. And one thing I noticed with most athletes, young athletes, is struggling with motivation, which is fair enough. It's hard to be motivated when something's so far away, like the next competition or whatnot. So what advice would you give to someone like a young athlete to stay motivated during this time? Dan?
I may not be the best person to ask on this because Dad was never too soft on me when it comes to this kind of stuff.
No, lay it on them. Give them the hard medicine.
At the end of the day, what it comes down to for me, and kind of just the way I was brought up, is how bad do you want it? Yeah. Like, if it's really something that you want, you're gonna do everything in your power to make it happen. If it's not, or if you feel like you're slacking off, or if you just don't want to do sometimes, if you don't go through with that, whatever you want to do, you don't want to run lactic that day, you don't want to do your long runs, then you really don't want your end goal as bad as you think you do. So I think if you, at least for me, staying in that mindset of, I want to be in Tokyo, I want to compete with the best, I want to like go overseas and represent a country and just have all of these experiences that I've been dreaming about and pushing towards and working for the past for years and years now. It kind of drives itself. I mean, I want it, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get there.
There we go. Drop the mic. I don't think you guys need to answer now. Sorry.
Yeah.
No jokes. No, that was good. That was good.
Inspiring.
Yeah, no, I think that's it at the end of the day. I don't think motivation is going to get you through this period, is it? Because motivation is so fickle. It just is there for a moment and then it goes.
Yeah.
It's like you got to really know what your goals are and be self-disciplined enough to execute day by day, because this is all a process. Athletics is moments, but those moments only happen if you stick to that process, I think. So I guess, yeah, I think you've hit it right on the head, Ben. Is there anything else you guys want to add to the motivation? Anything helping you go through, Liam or Em?
Yeah,
You go, Liam. Sorry.
all right. Probably, I'd say setting like short-term goals. So I found it for me, coming out of year 12 and graduating, I guess I underestimated it. I came out thinking it would be a breeze and I'd have a lot of spare time, but it's really hard to look to where you're going. You feel a bit lost, I guess, coming out of school, and losing that routine is really hard. Obviously going from school, like eating lunch at regular times each day, training every arvo, I guess it's really hard, but obviously routine helped me. But I'd say setting short-term goals, just not so much looking at the bigger picture, but what you need to do to get to that goal, that end goal. So just setting small goals, whether it's hitting this time at training or getting to this distance in one event, or even if you don't do athletics, yeah, just setting short-term goals, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And Em?
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same. Yeah, set some short-term goals and not just have them in your head, like actually write them down and put them somewhere, whether it be on your mirror, on a wardrobe door, somewhere where you're going to see it every day, so that, you know, it reminds you every day, this is what you're aiming for, this is what you're going for. And with that small-term goals, you can also have your long-term goals set out at the bottom as well, so you know what you're working towards.
Yeah, I agree with that. You see that thing, the people on the podcast won't be able to see, but if you see the wall behind me, it's literally got dates of things set out. So like every day I'm reminded of why I have to do this hard session. Here's the goal, go for it. So yeah, the short-term goals is perfect. Now, I guess we could wallow that the season has been cancelled, or we can reflect on some good moments that we've had in multi-events and now competitions. So we'll go around the virtual table here. What has been your most memorable multi-event competition to date, Dan?
Just previously, not just this season, correct?
Yeah, anytime. Yeah, the one that sticks with you the most.
I think every multi-event I've done, I've taken something else out of. I've competed at NCAA level. I've competed at US Nationals, Australian Nationals, all sorts of different meets in different countries and stuff. But I think the most memorable meet I've competed at was 2017. I actually had the opportunity and I qualified for a US team to go over and do the Thorpe Cup over in Germany. And there was, it was very intense competing with the guys I was, but it was so much fun. And there was almost like another level, another something extra driving me, and ambition and just the experience as a whole, because I had the opportunity to wear the US jersey. I was competing for a country, and I think being able to compete for a country is kind of like the pinnacle of what every athlete aspires to, right? Just to be able to wear that on your chest, it kind of throws something else in the mix that just lights you up, and it's a lot of fun.
Nice.
So
looking forward to that again. And is that feeling, you remember it really deep, and you're thinking, is that what drives you for next year too? Part of that Olympics, that feeling?
That's exactly it. I've worn the red, white, and blue, and I'm hoping if we can put something good together, I'm hoping that I'll get the opportunity to wear the green and gold next year in Tokyo.
Yeah, let's go. And Liam, what's been your most memorable competition?
My most memorable competition was probably Oceania Champs in Townsville. So like Dan said, I was able to represent Australia for the first time. So wearing the green and gold, it was just a pretty surreal feeling. Obviously, it fueled me up for that competition. And I guess there was a few reasons why it was my favourite. Obviously, being in Townsville, I had a lot of family there because it's close to home. So obviously having them in my back corner, being able to support me really fired me up for the comp. And another thing was being able to compete next to some of the open boys as well, like Cedric and Ash. But yeah, that was definitely by far the highlight, and ending up coming away with the gold and a championship record as well. I think that definitely topped it off.
Yeah, that would have been amazing. I remember watching that. I think I dropped out because I think I hurt my knee, but I remember just watching you compete, and I remember thinking, yeah, this is a really special thing to have your family there, because most times when you represent your country, you have to go overseas, and it's quite expensive to call everyone overseas to watch. So you'll hold that forever.
For the first time was good.
Yeah. And Em, what's been your most memorable comp?
For me, probably a comp I did in Melbourne at the end of last year. It was first comp of the season. I went into it feeling probably the fittest I've ever been. And I just remember it came down to the 800, like final event for us for the HEP. And I knew what time I had to run, and it was going to be, I would have had to run a PB to get that national qualifier, which is what I'd gone down there to get. So it came down to the 800. I don't remember the last 50 meters of the 800 because I blacked out. I finished the race. I remember looking at my watch, obviously lying on the ground sometime after, and just going, no, I missed the time, not taking into concept that I've been lying on the ground for some time. Yeah. And I just remember getting up, walking over to my coach, Eric Brown, and kind of just feeling depleted that, I'd put so much into it but missed getting that time that I needed. And his smile said it all. He's like, and he just said, you did it. And I just went, no, I didn't. Like, I just didn't believe him because, I checked my watch and there was no way that could have happened. One of the other guys that was there, he's like, no, we timed it. You did it. You ran the time, and it ended up being a PB. And that moment would just stay with me forever. Like, it wasn't competing for my country. It wasn't, anything major like that. But for me, it was a small win. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes the multi so special. It's like that personal achievement. Like, for instance, it's a painful event, that last event, especially for the guys. I mean, a 1500 is gnarly to do at the end, but it's like the make it or break it event. Like, are you going to let it all slide just because it's going to hurt? Like, if you go out there and give it your best shot and you finish strong, it's the greatest feeling, like the best. Like, we don't run specialist times in those events, but as you said, it's all about that moment and that feeling of, okay, I've crossed this certain barrier and this was my goal. And that's why I love the multis. I'm addicted to that feeling. It's like better than drugs. Anyways, next question is, what is the athlete that has inspired you the most in your event, Dan?
Still don't have an answer to this.
I gave you a whole week to think about it.
I've had a whole week to think about it, and I really can't put it to one name. I've trained with.
You're allowed to say yourself.
Me, Dan, me.
Well, definitely not Liam. No, I really can't put it to just one person, but let's say multi-eventers as a whole. Because everyone's got their little niche where they fill in, but at the end of the day, it's a fight every single multi, and the mental side and the physical, and where those 2 points meet, it's a cool thing to watch.
Yeah, there's always something to learn from everyone. Hey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Liam, who's been your inspo? Is it Dan?
No, Dan's coming in at second. Sorry, mate. I'd have to say Cedric. It was around the time I got into multis. So around when I was 15, Brendan, my coach, showed me his YouTube channel, and just having, I guess, that insight into each of his comps and how he handles each event, I guess it taught me a lot about the decathlon and how to handle it. So I guess he's done a lot for the exposure of multis as well. I guess to people who watch his videos, it's really good, but definitely that, not only his YouTube channel, but the type of person he is. So I remember still meeting him for the first time. I think it was when I did my first decath in Townsville. He's just a top bloke, I guess, in general as well. Yeah, but
yeah, for sure. Cedric definitely has brought a whole new level of exposure to the multis using social media, which is really good. I remember watching his videos, and I lived up in Townsville, particularly around the Com Games period, and it gave just a really good insight into his mindset and the amount of work he was doing. I was like, wow, like that's freaking tough. That was why I was probably most scared to go train with Eric, because I was like, I have to do that. No. And who's the athlete that inspires you?
I've got a few, but my probably number one would be Jess Ennis, the UK multier. So she's released a book, which I've read quite a few times, and it was actually interesting to see and to kind of read about her upbringing and her struggles through, her teenage years. And like, I remember reading one of her comps. I think it was like leading into qualifying for World Juniors one year, or like whatever was back in her time. And she went out drinking with friends the night before day one. And she wasn't going to go to this one comp. And I think it was her grandparents that pretty much dragged her out of bed, threw her in the car and said, "You're competing." And she vomited after almost every event. And, just reading about, obviously encouraging that at all, but it was just interesting to read about her different struggles growing up, and then how she's defied like the whole stereotypical multi-body type. Your multi-eventers are normally really tall, fairly lean, but also strong, whereas she's, a bit shorter and a bit more built. But she's obviously proven that, she's found the right equation for her events to, get her over the finish line first after the 7th event. So,
yeah, I actually haven't read that book. You should send me the link after this. I'd actually be keen to read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was so impressed by Jess Ennis winning the Olympics. Like, that is the definition of clutch. Home Olympics, got to execute. Not only did she execute, but she pulled out her best heptathlon ever. So
exactly,
that's a good athlete to be inspired by. So before, Liam, you touched on exposure of the multis, which Cedric has definitely helped build through social media. But what does everyone think we as athletes can do, or we can urge competition organizers to do to help increase the exposure for the multis, not only just to get more attention to it, but to encourage more athletes to get involved and try one? Dan, got any ideas?
Any bright ideas, that is? In terms of increasing exposure, I feel like the multi-events isn't promoted as what it used to be, because I feel like a lot of people don't recognize the whole mental side of the event. And in general, it's a long event. It's a relatively boring event if you're watching it live, if you don't get to just watch the highlights, because it goes all day for over two days. So it's a lot of just waiting around and not much going on. But I think an understanding of the event's very important, especially with the point system and how things are ranked. And just being able to, I really can't put a thumb on it, because I don't know exactly how I would do it, but there's got to be a way to actually be able to like get the videography right, or a recording or something, so that it's more exciting than just sitting there and watching a 2-hour stream of one event. You know what I mean? Right? Because I think that's where it loses people, because I don't even like watching that. Right? I like watching highlights. Wow. I like bang boom. I like things that are exciting, right? But when you're sitting there and you've got 1 minute for someone to take one jump, and then you've got to go through that 24 times and over all 3 attempts, it's very laborious in how the event just operates in its nature. So I think there's definitely a way out there. I'm not a videographer. I'm not an event coordinator, right? So I don't know. But there's got to be something that we can do.
That's okay. What we're doing right now is we're planting the seeds in the head of any videographer or TV producer or event director that may be listening, and telling them, here's some ideas, and then we'll water that seed and then it will grow.
Yeah.
That's my idea. But like I think I agree. I don't like watching a long stream. I reckon there needs to be like after each event they need a team to edit together a quick highlight and then add in some infographics of like, you know, data and points.
Well, there was the World Athletics not too long ago, like last week, put up a highlight reel of the Doha combined events. And each day it was a highlight reel, and each day was 2 hours long. Right? So when you're talking about just a highlight reel of half of the event being 2 hours long, like it's too much content, right? I think I watch a lot of racing personally, so like motocross, car auto racing, MotoGP, all sorts of stuff like that. And when you've got like lap times, split times, track maps, people, this, that, pit, like you got people in the pits working, changing tires and stuff like that. You've got all these different angles, and there's, even though they're going around in circles, right, essentially for an hour or more, you got so much going on and different cuts to different athletes at the same time, and all sorts of data and standings that get popped up on the board. I think that's also very engaging, but it's difficult.
Yeah, I know it is. It is. I mean, and there's also a tremendous amount of money in motorsport racing. So, oh well.
Not as athletics.
Well, we can dream about it, right?
Yeah.
Liam, you got any ideas? I know you're into some video. I've seen some of your videography projects, which are pretty cool, and photos. So, you got any ideas to bring up the level of exposure?
Don't know if I'll be able to help Dan out, but don't think my videography skills are that good. But
no, you just like put fire as an effect, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'd probably say, personally, I've never competed at like a national level multi-event where it's been in with the individual events. I know they used to do that at Sydney. Well, I have never competed at Opens. So when they used to compete or put the multi-events in with the individual events, I think that was good for the exposure. Obviously, it's a bit unfair, but there's a lot more of a crowd at the individual nationals. So having that there in combined with the individual events, I think that would help a lot. And not separating us so much as it is good for us athletes, because we do get a lot more one-on-one time with the officials, and obviously we get treated a bit differently. I think, combining it with and making nationals just combined would help with the exposure in terms of the crowd, and try to get them involved with the sport, I guess, or the event.
Yeah, I agree. It was like, I don't want to make this a complaint fest, but it was pretty disappointing nationals, the lack of coverage that there was. Like, this is a national level event, B level, you know, you got athletes like Cedric there competing, and just nothing. Like, it was no live stream, but yet they'd live stream the track classics. And this is the reason why, you know, people don't know what's going on. It's tough.
Being in Bali, I wanted to watch it, and there was no way I could access it. So
like they had some social media stuff, but it's just not good enough, you know. Like, it's an athlete, you prepare all this time to get there. I know I'm speaking a bit from a personal thing because I was competing there, but still, I feel like it should have been done better. But
there's stories, but like when you want to watch, like I obviously want to watch Cedric and the Open Boys, but I want to watch my age group as well. So it's like you see a bit of one person, but you don't really get like everyone, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can fingers crossed it improves in the future. But you got any ideas?
I think that the media coverage for athletics in Australia in general is atrocious. Like, you look at Swimming Australia, they get their national championships live streamed on television every year. So they're in the pool from like 6 till 9 or something each night or whatever the time is. And it's broadcast live on TV. So anyone can dial in and watch it. You know, we're lucky if we even get a live stream. And that's just on YouTube, yet alone not on national TV. But as like the guys are saying, you know, no one wants to sit for the whole 2 days watching that. So I definitely think there needs to be some sort of compromise in the fact that, like, you know, have it live streamed or, you know, broadcast that those that do want to sit and watch it, they can, but then also maybe do a daily wrap up of an hour or something and, you know, show the top 3 or 4 athletes in each event. And then go take it that one step further, as Dan said, like with his motor racing, like it's got all the splits and everything. So, you know, the way that Cedric does his YouTube videos where he puts up his time, his points, you know, have that for the athletes as well. So someone runs a time, they get this many points, you know, they jump this height, so then they're sitting on this points for that event, but combined they're sitting on these points. You know, I think it's just more about getting people involved, obviously, that love doing that kind of stuff and that have the time to do it. But yeah, I think overall athletics in Australia, no one really takes much notice of it and wants to broadcast it. Like, you know, we're struggling to get any kind of media out there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a tough one. Like, I know one of the reasons, like, I've gotten involved with media behind the scenes in athletics is because what I've identified in athletics is that all us athletes are competing for exposure because we need that for sponsors to pay for athletics. But the problem is we're competing for a very small stage. Like, that's a very small light that we have on the sport. So I thought, well, I don't want to go out there and compete against everyone else for this small pocket of the pie. I want to help make it bigger. And I think a way we can do that is by sharing our stories on social media. I think it's doing stuff like this, like the podcast, you know, building it within our own circles of people first, and then, you know, let the flow on effect happen. So, yeah, I mean, we could talk all day about this stuff, but I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful it can improve. And I think this is a start, I guess. All right, final question. So this one's just more of a general get to know you sort of question. Obviously, we do more than one event. What is your strongest event and what is the event that you need to improve the most? We'll start with you, Dan.
Strongest event is decathlon and weakest is also decathlon. No. I'm much more of a thrower myself. I'm not the quickest guy on the track. So one of my strongest events are probably javelin is one of them, where I pick up a lot of points on my competition. If it's going well, I'm also a decent pole vaulter. So I think personal best wise, that's my highest scoring event. That was a lot of fun too. You get to fly. And weakest, or the ones I'm working on, are definitely the 4 and the 15. My jumps are not the best either. I'm one of the heavier guys out there, so, you know, I'm using that as an excuse right now. But yeah, I'm definitely working on my jumps, high and long specifically, and I'm definitely trying to just get into better condition and get some of my lactate tolerance up for the 400 and the 15.
And I'm just going to comment. I definitely think Eric's the man for the job. He's putting you guys through the paces at the moment. I've been watching you run on Saturdays. I'm like, far out.
Dude, stop me running.
It's so tough. What about you, Liam? What's your strongest and I'm not going to say, okay, I'm going to say it, weakest event?
Yeah. Strongest, or my stronger events are probably, I reckon I'd say shot put and hurdles. It's weird because they're like opposite ends of the spectrum, but they're probably the 2 events I've been able to get up to like national level on. And I'd definitely shot put, but I'd say my hurdles has dropped off a bit, just going up to 99 centimeters. I haven't been touching on it as much, but they're probably where I can get bit ahead of some of my competitors. Definitely shot put. And probably my weakest event is jav. So Dan would know that. I can throw a discus further than I can throw a jab, so it's pretty atrocious. But
Yeah.
no, I've been working on it though. It's just lacks a bit of consistency. It's on and off. So especially at state champs this year, that was a shocker.
Jav is such a technical event though. It's like
Yeah,
your body in
think
some.
it's so easy.
Nah, it's technically hard, and it's also just like your body has to be so agile to hold those positions, like ridiculous.
Yeah, it actually.
But it's interesting you said your favorites were shot put and hurdles, because I'm pretty sure that's Kevin Mayer's best events too, right?
Oh,
Is
true.
the
That's saying
shot
something.
put and hurdles.
Sorry,
There you go. Isn't it? Didn't he like pop out 17 meters in a decaf?
Oh yeah, at Diamond League, he threw
Far
like
out.
something insane. When you get invited to Diamond League for individual events, you know you're good.
Yeah, crazy. Yes, and Em, what's your strongest event?
So for me, my high jump would be my strongest event. Coming from a high jump background, through like high school days. My weakest would be sprint hurdles. I didn't really grow up doing much hurdling. If I did, I did 400 hurdles. So technique wasn't as important for 400 hurdles. Like you still obviously have to hurdle properly and that, but it's not as, you don't have to be as snappy over the hurdles and that as you are with sprint hurdles. So hurdles is definitely my event that needs the most work.
Should I answer this? Yeah, I probably should, because I'm multi-eventer. My strongest is probably javelin. Yeah, javelin. And then the one I need to improve on is hurdles. My God, it's so frustrating. It's just an unnatural event. Anyways, that brings us to the end of the episode today. Thanks everyone for gathering online to chat. Hopefully we'll have an announcement soon about when the next multi-event will be on. And we'd certainly love to see you all at the NQ Championships when it is announced. But until then, good luck with your training. Dan and Em, I'll see you at the track at training on Monday. Yeah, I'll see you then. And Liam, all the best up in Cairns in your preps for World Juniors next year.
Thank you. Same to you guys.
Thanks for tuning in to episode 6. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got to know Dan, Emily, and Liam a little bit better. It was really good to touch on athletes on all levels of the sport, whether you're chasing World Juniors or just improvement or Olympics, it doesn't matter. The whole point of athletics is self-improvement, and that's why we had these 3 guests on the show this week. Also, if you are a multi-event athlete and you're in Australia or you're coaching multi-event athletes and have not been exposed to the NQ Championships, you're mad. It is the best multi-event competition in Australia domestically at that time of year. From September to October, North Queensland has beautiful weather, and also Athletics North Queensland really looks after their multi-event athletes during competitions. The officials are always great, accommodating, and there's ice bars and special facilities put aside for the athletes to perform. So make sure you subscribe and follow all our social media pages, because as soon as we can, we're going to release the information about the NQ Championships and the multi-event championships that goes along with that event. All right, well, that brings us to the end of the episode. Again, like and subscribe. Our next special guest is World Junior Javelin Champion Nash Lois. We're going to talk about how his training is going, plans for the 2021 Olympics, and also go through his experience at World Juniors and what it took to become a World Junior Champion. Anyways, stay well, and I'll talk to you again soon.